For the first few months of St. Mary's apparitions, which began on April 2nd, St. Mary used to appear 2 to 3 times a week. The news quickly spread around the world and reached the United States to an Egyptian man called George. He was married to a very godly American woman called Pearl Zeki. She heard about St. Mary's apparitions and traveled to Egypt to see St. Mary and to visit her husband's family. She went to the Church of Zaytun for 4 days in a row, but unfortunately she didn't see St. Mary. On the 5th day, Pearl didn't go, but later she found out that St. Mary had appeared that day. Pearl was so upset that she didn't get to see her. Later, Pearl and her son and her sister-in-law went to the church of Saint Georgios, which is also called Abu Sirga, in a place called Fustat in Old Egypt. The Holy Family used to live here when they were in Egypt. That same night, Pearl had an idea to take her family to visit Pope Kyrillos VI at the Patriarchate. When they met Pope Kyrillos, Pearl's family spoke to the Pope in Arabic. He asked them about Pearl and her son and even asked, why did they come to Egypt? So Pearl's sister-in-law answered and said, Pearl came from the United States to see St. Mary. They even went to the church 4 times, but they still didn't see her. Then Pope Kyrillos looked at Pearl's son and said to him, you will see St. Mary. Before leaving, Pearl asked her sister-in-law in English, when did the Pope say we'll see her? That's when Pope Kyrillos turned around and said to her, tonight. You will see her tonight. It was true. That night they all went to the church. Nagy, Pearl's son, was asleep, but suddenly around 4 a.m. he woke up. Pearl went for a short walk and tried to pray with all the people in Arabic, but she could only say Kyrie eleison. As she was walking, she heard people shout and saw them stand up on their chairs. She tried to walk back to where her son was, while keeping her eyes fixed on the church. Suddenly she looked up and saw St. Mary, and no words could describe her happiness and the deep sense of peace and joy that she felt. She came back to the church one more time before returning to the United States and saw St. Mary once more. Pearl traveled back to the United States, but she could never forget Egypt or the Church of Zaytun where St. Mary appeared. She began to tell everybody she met about how she saw St. Mary at the Church of Zaytun, and she continued to tell everybody she met about it for another 32 years. She later wrote 2 books about St. Mary's apparitions on April 2nd. This is the story of a wonderful American woman's love for St. Mary.